this model of lightning talks where no introductions are required. So I think it's a good model. So I think it's really terrific to be here today. And when we thought about doing this event, we had no idea of the kind of response we would get, and it's incredible to see so many people from all over coming here for this event. I think today is, really we are at a seminal point, and sometimes if you look back in history, you connect the dots and realize how seminal sometimes are. I'll just give you an example of the year 2016. Now you'll say, why was 2016 so important in the history of India's digital journey? It's because a number of things happened together. On April 4th, 2016, Aadhaar reached 1 billion people. In other words, 1 billion Aadhaars were issued on April 4th, 2016, which means the foundation had been laid for doing something at scale. On April 11th, 2016, UPI was launched. There was an event in Bombay at the Taj, and we launched UPI, and that was really, people didn't know what exactly UPI was, but it was launched on April 11, 2016. On September 5th, 2016, Jio was launched. Imagine, all this happened at the same time, and we didn't know it. On September 5th, 2016, Jio was launched for public use, and Jio revolutionized mobile connectivity, reduced data costs by dramatically, made voice zero, and India's data consumption went up from half a gig a month to half a gig a day. Then on November 8th, we had the monetization currency stuff, and on December end, the Prime Minister launched the BHIM application for digital payments. So you can see that in 1 year, so many things happened, and not necessarily planned together, but it so happened as a coincidence that they all came together. And somehow I get the same feeling about what we're doing in AI, because many, many things are coming together. Vivek talked about the fact that the government program of Bhashini, the AI for Bharat initiative at IIT Madras, the work at EkStep. So a lot of work had happened on AI, and then we had the launch of LLMs, Bard, ChatGPT, Llama, and all that. And now, I think every day something is coming, and now we're using this occasion to take it forward. So I think I somehow sense the same sense of AI in 2023 as if you look back what 2016 was in the journey of India's digital transformation. Now, why are we so excited about what's happening? Because I think for the first time, we are seeing stuff that we think can actually make a dent in India's challenges. Just take an example, let's look at education. When we began EkStep in 2014, we had the ambition to see how we can change learning outcomes. But then we realized that we really didn't have a way to change learning outcomes. It was really very, very difficult. So we focused on making sure that we provided access, making sure that every child and every teacher had access to the latest digital technology. And I think that's all been put in place. And today the government Diksha program is reaching millions and millions of people. But today when we look at the possibilities, when we look at what's possible with large language models, generative AI, reasoning AI, and so on, we're actually seeing the glimmer of perhaps actually making an impact on learning outcomes, which we didn't, frankly, I think we are not convinced, but now we actually can see it happening. And I think if you go out there, you'll see a number of examples of that. I think we have examples from Khan Academy, and we have from the Tamil Nadu project, and so on. So what that tells us is that this holy grail of improving learning outcomes is finally looking like it's within reach. And if we can do it, can you imagine, because for 20 years, we have been hearing the same story about the Asar report. Asar report is a very famous state of the education report brought out by Pratham every year. And every year it tells you the same dismal story, that children are not able to read, write, speak, and so on. Imagine if in the next 10 years, leveraging the power of what is already here, if we can actually move the needle on that, if millions and millions of kids can improve their ability to read and write and compute, you actually made a huge, huge difference, because a country's human capital, its most important capital, and it cannot just be the small set of elites who go to the top schools, it has to be for 1 billion people. So I think similarly in healthcare, we think that perhaps now we are at a point where actually you can improve the quality of health delivered at the point of of the patient coming for service. So what is, I think, obvious to all of us is that our model of AI is A, for improving society, for improving the lives of people, for making, making it more equitable. It's also, I think, our model of AI is of amplifying human potential. We are not looking at AI as a replacement strategy for people. We are not trying to build autonomous cars so that we get rid of drivers. We're not trying to build health platforms that no longer require doctors. We are saying we want AI to be an amplifier. We want AI to be a tool of human improvement, of improving human productivity, so that in a society where there's a shortage of teachers, more high quality education reaches millions of children. In a society where there's a shortage of doctors and nurses, more high quality health care reaches the people through improving productivity. In a country where there's a huge backlog of judicial cases, improving productivity and amplification with AI will reduce pendency and deliver more prompt justice. So everything that, when we think about AI, is really how to make society better, how to amplify human potential, how to amplify human productivity, and how to make sure the products of AI are accessible to everybody else. It's a very different view of how AI is being done. Also, I think the reason why we can speak here with some amount of confidence that we can pull this off is because we have seen the playbook. We have seen the playbook with Aadhaar. We have 1.3 billion people using Aadhaar, 80 to 100 million authentications a day, 5 to 10 million KYCs a day. We have seen that with UPI, 8 billion transactions a month. The current run rate is 300 million transactions a day. 300 million people plus use UPI at 50 million merchants across the country. We have seen that with DDG Locker, which is run by Abhishek Singh. More than 150 million people store 5 billion documents on DigiLocker. And today, anyone going to the airport will just flash his driver's license or Aadhaar from the phone. So in Diksha, we have seen the infrastructure where millions of children and teachers are being reached. So I think we have in India the track record of building really population-scale digital infrastructure that can reach billion people. Nobody really can say they have that experience like we have. Second, because of this playbook, over the years, we have created a common shared vision of how we want to change India. I think this is very, very unique because, as the course of this G20 and all that, we meet global leaders. I don't think there's any other country where everybody, the political leadership, the bureaucracy, the business leaders, the technocrats, everybody realizes that digital transformation is the only way we can fix these large problems. And if we can bring in exponential change through digital transformation, then we can really make a difference to everybody's life. So I think that's a shared vision, as Abhishek just pointed out. Abhishek was in the first meeting when I joined the government in 2009. He was in the first meeting. He was a junior officer at that time. Today, he's the CEO of Digital India. So I think what you're seeing today is a whole class of people who have come together, who trust each other. And, we have people, lawyers like Rahul, and so many people all working together for a common vision and a common purpose. So having that sense of shared vision and common purpose is extremely important because we live in a society which is getting fractured and polarized. And therefore, it's almost impossible to get anything done because for everyone who wants to do it, there's somebody who wants to oppose it. But I think in India, at least, we seem to have created a consensus across different walks of life that this is the way to go. We also, I think, learned how to deal with the risks. When we did Aadhaar, we had, I don't think anybody had thought about privacy in the country. And there was, as you know, there was the Aadhaar case. It is the second longest running case in the history of the Indian Supreme Court. It was not a small case. It argued, Rahul was one of the lawyers in that case. What it did was it raised fundamental questions about privacy because privacy was not there in our constitution. And in fact, many judgments, there was a eight-judge bench which had actually said there is no right to privacy. So the Supreme Court had to create a 9-judge bench to even decide whether Indians have a fundamental right to privacy. And that judgment came out saying, yes, they do have a right, but under certain situations like tax collection or national security, you can circumscribe that right. And that was a seminal judgment on the fundamental right to privacy. And then the Aadhaar law was tested against that and upheld as fulfilling that fundamental right to, meeting the test of the fundamental right to privacy. So what that did was, in a period of 10 years, we went from a country where nobody had heard of privacy to probably every stakeholder, judges, lawyers, plaintiffs, defendants, everybody understanding about privacy. And I think we have established a very good framework for doing that. We are going to have the same situation now because we are again going into uncharted territories. In the last round, we had to deal with privacy and security. Now we have to deal with bias, hallucination, and all the challenges that AI is going to bring. But I think the fact that we were able to successfully navigate our way through the privacy and security debate tells me that if we do this properly and think this thoughtfully, we can leverage the full power of what AI can give us, at the same time put in place the guardrails on all the various things that we have to deal with, which are new. There are some old challenges like privacy and security, but there are also new challenges like copyright or explainability or bias or hallucination or any of the new issues. But I think we have a playbook for that too, on how we get the full value of these AI capabilities, at the same time putting in rails, the guardrails that we want. Also, I believe that we have to do this in a way that is fully meeting our sovereign goals. One of our lessons from all the things we have built in India is we want India to be in charge of its own destiny. We want India in charge of its own technology. And therefore, at the same time, how do we leverage global developments? We're very fortunate that in the AI world, by and large, most of the technology has been quite freely published, and there is a lot of open source products. For example, the whole large language model, which is underlying all these tools, was based on a transformer paper published by Google. And therefore, I think there has been a culture in the AI world of putting out the best knowledge in papers and documents, and even here we saw some documents. So I hope that continues, and I hope that the AI arms race doesn't make vendors become far more closed in the way they approach things. But I think at India, we have to be very clear that we will use this in the best possible way with the least amount of lock-in and so on. We will use the best, we will study and use the best LLMs, the best tools. We may decide to design architecture where we abstract the tools so that we can change tools if required. But we will have an AI strategy where finally India will be in charge of its own destiny, and we'll leverage all these tools to the hilt. Also, I think the debate here is very different from the rest of the world. The rest of the world, a lot of the debate is how do we make money from AI, or how do we help businesses use AI, which is a very important thing. But our challenge in India is much more sharper. How do we use this to create a better society? How do we use this to create a more equitable society? How do we use this to give every Indian the opportunity that he or she deserves? How do we use this to ignite economic growth? These are really the challenges that we have in India, and I think that's where we want to focus on and make sure we use that. And the thing is, this is not a pipe dream. Today, AI is used in Aadhaar authentication, which Vivek did when he was working. He still works with the UID-AI. And so today's liveness testing in Aadhaar authentication has a full AI capability. Face authentication is AI-based. Today, India has among the largest, the growth in India's taxes in our digital systems of GST and income tax are all happening because compliance is being done with AI behind the scenes. All the entire information is checked with AI to check whether there's any tax leakage, and that's why our tax to GDP ratio is the highest in history. So we are actually using AI today to solve real issues in India. It's not theory. It's being used and it's making a difference on the ground. So we have the confidence that we can use this to do that. And we also have the confidence that we have the human capital to make it happen, and all of you represent the people who can make it happen. So I'm absolutely convinced that the next 10 years are going to be, 5 years hopefully, not even 10, are going to be defining. And I really would think we should see how in the next few years children are better educated. So the ASER report comes out with positive news. that more people are healthier so that they don't keep saying that our healthcare is poor, and everybody gets to use technology in their own language by speaking to the computer and getting every imaginable service they want so that nobody is left behind. So thank you and have a great day.